Hey, it's a grown woman's perspective with Rochelle, and I am Rochelle, here to talk to you about all of the different things that hit your screen that interest me from a grown woman's perspective. Yes, I watch a lot of the shows that some younger people watch, but I usually have a different perspective on some of what's going on than what other people have. And so I want to come and talk to you about it. And we're going to dig in to this episode 2 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Love and Marriage Huntsville, it is already off to a fiery and spicy start. So I'm definitely excited to come to you each and every week to talk about this show, as well as so many other shows that seem like they're going to be really, really interesting this season. And so before we dig into this commentary, I want to remind you to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and definitely meet me in the comments because we're always going to chop it up in the comments. So let's dig right in now that that is out of the way. So I took some notes as usual because I don't want to forget a single thing. So we got started tonight with Marceau taking his son to meet his nephew and his brother Maurice at their new 10 acres of property. Now, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to the Scotts because this is huge, to buy that raw land and to have a goal for it and for what you're going to put on the land so that you can keep something in your family. Man, I am all about legacy. You guys, if you follow me on my other channel, you will know that it's all about legacy for me. And so kudos to those Scotts who are doing big things. Now, Marceau's concern is whether Kimmie is on board or not when it comes to the land and the goals for the land. We go and the next thing that we see is Melodie going house shopping. She has her girlfriend Destiny as her realtor, and they're looking at a house. This house is beautiful. She said it's going to be the biggest house that she's ever owned, but it's all about upgrading. She's like, when you get a divorce, it shouldn't be about downgrading and going smaller. It should be about upgrading and making everything in your life better. And I have to agree with that. If your marriage is going to fail, you might as well upgrade at the end of it, right? So Destiny let her know about when Martell stopped over to say that Melodie had been cheating on him. And Melodie's thing was like, why is he so worried about who I'm dating? Like, we've been separated for months and months. We have not lived together. We have not lived as husband and wife. And why does he care about who I'm dating and who I'm not dating? She's like, I never cheated on him. However, if I'm separated from him for X amount of time, then yeah, there are probably going to be other men that are interested in me. And boom. That's a boom right there, right? She said, listen, I'm a whole meal. She said, I'm not a snack. I'm not an hors d'oeuvre. I'm not an appetizer. I'm a whole meal. And for the last 5 years, she said, Martell has proven to me that I'm not a priority for him. She was like, so yes, you have to expect that other men are going to be interested in being suitors. And so I say kudos to her. We know that this marriage has been over. We've kind of watched it from season to season. And although they've been fighting for it, Melodie has really been trying to stay in the game and in the fight with him. And we know Martell, he's definitely going to try to stay because he wants to have his cake and eat it too. We could kind of see that this relationship has been over for a while. So then we get to see LaTisha. She goes over to Kimmie's house. They get to sit down and have some drinks. And, they start talking about this 10 acres. And Kimmie is like, listen, I like my house. I like my space. And I really don't want a house on this 10 acres because I don't want to be that close to the family. I like to have my own private space. And so, of course, Tisha is trying to talk her into it. She's like, we can have rules and regulations and no pop-up visits. And Kimmie is not having it. She is not having it, right? So LaTisha told, Kimmie about when Martell popped up. And Kimmie's kind of like, look, if Marceau and Martell can make up that easy, then why can't you make up with Melodie that easy? And so this is when, LaTisha, she kind of spirals and, she's like, why don't you ever have my back? I need to know you have my back. Now, let me tell you something. Kimmie is a grown woman. I love it. She is not willing to co-sign any BS. She's like, if you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. If she's wrong, I'm going to tell her she's wrong. And I'm not going to get in on anybody's side when I think that they're wrong. And, if we go back to last season when LaTisha popped up at Melodie's party or coming out event or whatever it was that she was having, Kimmie's like, you shouldn't have just popped up knowing that y'all weren't speaking. Now, you can say that you were trying to support a girlfriend, but you know that things weren't good between y'all. And I love that Kimmie is like, sister-in-law or not, I'm not co-signing the BS. I love that about Kimmie. She's definitely one of my favorite, probably my favorite person on the entire show because she's straightforward. She's almost not reality show material because she's so straight, but I love it. And then we see, Melodie, of course, packing to move out. Her mom stops by and she begins to confide in her mom about some of the things that have been going on between her and Martell, as well as some of the things that he has said. And you can tell that her mom is like just livid, beside herself, like she wants to wring this man's neck. And, her mom actually, acknowledges Melodie's strengths. She's like, listen, since you've been separated from him, I've been seeing the you that I know, come back. And, Melodie's like really grateful that, her mom acknowledged her. And I'm going to tell you, I really love it because a large majority of women don't have those types of relationships with their mother where their mom would actually give them props and say, you know what? I'm proud of you, daughter. You are a queen and you can handle this. You can get through it and I support you. So I love their relationship. I give kudos to Melodie's mom especially, but to the both of them for the relationship that they have been able to craft. And I hope that they just continue to be close and continue to get closer because those mother-daughter relationships are really priceless. And we see Martell's broker, Chris, stop by the office. And they get to talk about this 47-acre project that Martell was supposed to be heading up. And Martell is like, I'm going to head up the residential side and I'm going to go ahead and refer Marceau to head up the commercial side. And Chris is kind of like, oh, so now y'all are friends again. Martell is like, yeah, well, what's wrong with that? And he's like, you're just too all over the place. And he's like, listen, I have to be honest with you, your personal life, all of this drama that you have going on is causing some hiccups. Like the development company no longer wants to use you as the face of this project. He's like, this was going to be called like Holt Manor. He's like, because of your recklessness, you just messed up a $35 million project. He tells him, you're out of control and you need to get it together. And I tell you what, these grown folks conversations like Chris is having with Martell right now, I absolutely give a check mark to that because I think grown folks conversations are definitely needed in all of these situations, really. Martell told him about, when he threatened Melodie for full custody on the show that we saw last week. And Chris was like, he said that was an arrogant BS move. I loved that. To me, that is just so grown up. That conversation is grown. Y'all know I'm all about grown conversations. And that was one. And Martell is still saying, yeah, but the affair was provoked by Melodie. He wants to point the finger at everybody else every chance that he gets. And he's like, I've always provided. I've always been there for my kids. I've always been the more present parent. And, I can't, even though I cheated, I came home every night. This guy he's just beyond. To me, I just don't understand what the next woman, right, sees in him. And the reason I say that is because I think that Melodie, because they have been together since college, I think that a lot of this arrogance he either developed over the years or, it hadn't bloomed and blossomed to where it is now. And so she didn't get him when he was this big of a jerk. He became this jerk I think the more money they made and the more success and prestige that they had, I think that he became this jerk. And I don't know, the next person, whoever gets him, whoever winds up with him, I think they're going to have some trouble, some problems. And then we see, LaTisha, she's, in my opinion, she's just thirsty for like a sister, but it's like she wants a sister from Kimmie, out of Kimmie, but she wants it on her own terms. She wants Kimmie to, really take the BS. And I love that Marceau told her in a grown man's way. He said, don't let the small stuff take away from a big relationship. I thought that was a grown man statement, and I loved it. And anytime somebody is given a grown man or a grown woman statement, I'm absolutely going to acknowledge it. Then we see Miss Wanda come. Everybody knows Miss Wanda. That's LaTisha's mom. She is a stone cold trip, and I think that she's going to continue to be a trip this season by looking at the previews, the trailer, and everything like that. Marceau did not like when she popped up. Marceau, he has a little love-hate relationship with Miss Wanda anyway. The only thing she wanted to do is come by and get the tea, right? Spill some tea and see what kind of tea she could pick up before she goes back home. She talks about how she asked about what's going on with Melodie and Martell. She heard about another child. She heard about a divorce. And Marceau was like, do you think that you're messy? She's like, no, I'm nosy, but I'm not messy. So I thought that was cute because we all know that Ms. Wanda is messy. And then she talked about how she has a man, right? She's seeing somebody. And even though she's still married and has been separated for 5 years, she talks about how she has a man. And Marceau's like, well, why don't you just get a divorce? So I thought that was, again, some really good points. We get a chance to look inside of her life a little bit more. Honestly, I don't even know if I knew Miss Wanda was married before now. Did you guys know? I didn't know that. So before we talk about the last few things that happened on this show, I just want to give you a quick reminder to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Heck, go on and turn on your notification bell button so that you can know exactly when I post commentary out here. And as always, we're going to meet down in the comments. Let's do this, y'all. So we get a chance to go back and see Maurice and Kimmie again. Again, I always love when Kimmie is on because she's always telling it like it is. And so she and Maurice are opening up their own office together. We find out that, number one, Maurice is always going over budget. Kimmie does not like that. She's like, no, son, if we can't afford it, then you need to pick something else and stop just writing checks. So we found out that the reason that he's doing that, though, is because he's trying to compete with his big brother. He wants their office to be better than Marceau and LaTisha's office. Let me tell you something. You cannot live your life trying to keep up with the Joneses. If you do that, you are going to wind up broke because it's really not about how much money you make, but it's about how much money you keep. And spending all this excess money on gold lettering for the walls just out of competition is definitely not where it's at. And that shows a lack of maturity on his part and how Kimmie has to come in and set it right. She breaks it to Maurice. At that point, she's like, he starts talking about this 10 acres. She's like, I'm not interested. I don't want to be a part of Scott Manor. I'm just not interested. And she's like, and he tries to say, like, you didn't tell me. She's like, no, I was very clear that I'm not interested. Grown woman. Like, that's my girl. She's definitely someone that I could be friends with. I love that she's straightforward. I love that she is just like honest and she stands on her principles. She's not about the BS at all. Now, she's throwing her son and Maurice a graduation party because they both graduated, but they didn't get to have parties because of COVID. But she's a little bit shaky on who to invite, who not to invite, because she's like, I don't want anybody to mess this up. I just want us to have a nice, relaxing time. And anybody that could potentially come and tear that up, I don't want them to be a part of it. Then they started kind of bickering about Kimmie's son and the fact that he's not able to step into entrepreneurship like he wants to. And Maurice is like, he can still step into entrepreneurship. And Kimmie was like, no, it's more important that he work. One thing about Maurice and Kimmie, they always seem to have little issues and little squabbles about entrepreneurship conversations. Should you be an entrepreneur? Should you be an employee? Who's this? Who's that? You know, Maurice has an entrepreneurial spirit. It runs obviously in his family, he and his brother both. And then Kimmie is a nurse, and she's kind of content being that. She's like, I like the steady paycheck. I like knowing that I'm going to get paid and when I'm going to get paid. And so they always kind of go back and forth. I always say it's definitely going to be hard to be an entrepreneur and not be married to an entrepreneur. I'm sorry, it just is. As an entrepreneur, I am extremely grateful that both myself and my husband have that spirit in us, and that we are entrepreneurs together, and that we're not having the bickering or the contest where one person is going to work and they think that their thing is better and the other person is working for themselves and they think that their thing is better, because it always seems to cause a little bit of division. Even if we can get past it, if you have enough arguments about the same thing, I think that, you know, trouble can be soon to follow. So that's my opinion on that. Then in our final scene, we see Martell pop up at Melodie's house. Now she's like, listen, I had to give him my address because we have kids together, but I didn't give him my address so that he could just pop up. And listen, that is completely and utterly inappropriate for him to just stop by her house. I think that they really need to have some kind of agreement, maybe even be meeting somewhere to exchange the children. I don't know. But if he's just popping up, now that could have been for TV. You know, maybe she did know he was coming and she tried to make it like he was popping up. But to me, that is unacceptable if he just popped up at her house. They get into this huge argument. He's, you know, accusing her of cheating. But if you notice, he's accusing her of cheating, but he's not really like standing on that firm. He's kind of saying little things like, if you weren't giving it to me, you must have been giving it to somebody else, and you must have, and you know, it seemed like he's saying things like that. And she gets like really, really angry because she's like, you're not going to keep basically throwing dirt on my name, saying that I cheated on you or that I was unfaithful to you, because that is just not true. And she is, you can tell that she has like so much in her, because she's like, I will F you up. And I'm like, okay, she did that to him last week, right? And now this week she's like, get him out of here. She's like, I refuse. Like, production had to actually come in and get between them, because she's like, I refuse to film with a liar. You know, she said, he's just a blatant liar, and I just can't do it, and I refuse to do it. And so they, you know, had their squabble. He walked away, drove off. In her confessional, she talked about how he is a manipulator. She said he's a master manipulator. He's very, very good at it. And, you know, I believe that 100%. How are you having an affair with somebody for 5 whole years and you're not a master manipulator? And my opinion of him is he is really like a little boy. And he's going to continue these antics. He's going to continue trying to spread rumors. He's going to continue trying to make allies with all of these people, her friends, his friends, their enemies, whomever. He's going to continue to pop up at her house, make phone calls, make threats, do all these little things, because he's a child. He's extremely immature. And if you're a grown man, and if you have a whole other girlfriend that you've been wanting to be with all of this time, then go be with her. If this woman isn't bothering you, then why are you bothering her when you have gotten what you wanted, to be with Arionne, right? But here's the thing. He didn't get what he wanted, because he wanted to be able to continue to have his cake and eat it too. And Melodie said, enough is enough. I'm not having another moment of it. And I pat her on the back for that, because nobody, male or female, deserves that foolishness. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me here on this review of episode 2 of A Love and Marriage Huntsville. Cannot wait to see you back here to review episode number 3 next week. But listen, don't forget, like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on those ding ding notification bells so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. And let's chop it up. Let's meet down in these comments and talk all about this thing. Can't wait to see you on the next one, guys. Bye.